her by her underwear, and then I was trying to get her legs under her. And then...
Today we're diving into a true crime story, a case that left the entire community of R.a.ping, Florida in shock in June 2024. Join us as we explore the case of Jesse Stone, a 15-year-old teenager sentenced for an unimaginable crime, breaking into the home of a 91-year-old woman who once considered him a friend and sexually assaulting her. This is a story of loss, betrayal, and dark secrets. R.a.ping, Florida is a peaceful neighborhood where neighbors are friendly with one another. In this community, there lived a 91-year-old woman, beloved for her kindness and openness. She often chatted with the kids in the neighborhood, treating them with warmth and care. But on the fateful night of June 9th, 2024, the tranquility of the neighborhood was shattered. Police received an emergency call from the elderly woman's home. When they arrived, they discovered a horrifying scene. The 91-year-old woman had been brutally attacked, not only beaten, but also sexually assaulted. Who was the perpetrator? Why would someone treat a 91-year-old woman with such cruelty?
Not obviously. Hey, did you see anybody run through here or anything?
Not to my yard, but I went in the house at 9:30 to eat dinner.
Okay.
And came back out with my son and said he saw all the cars come up here.
Okay.
And I was sitting there for a minute.
Your son live here too?
Huh?
Your son live here too?
Yeah, my son lives here. My daughter and son-in-law are down here from West Virginia on vacation.
Okay.
There was a car earlier that came up there, like, when it's still daylight out there, but I think that was one of her friends.
Okay.
I mean, it looked familiar, like I've seen the car before.
Okay.
But nobody's been in my yard because I got dogs out and stuff.
Right. Okay.
She okay?
I hope.
I mean, I've known this lady since I was 10 years old.
Okay. I mean, it appears somebody was over there messing with the house, so.
That lady's daughters wanted her to move so many times out of here, too. She kept saying no, no, no.
All right.
Through nearby security camera footage and DNA evidence found on the victim's underwear, a detail emerged that left detectives certain they had identified the culprit. Someone no one could have suspected. Jesse Stone, who was just 14 years old at the time, a boy the victim had treated like a friend. The biggest question was this: what drove a 14-year-old, seemingly normal teenager to commit such a horrific crime? Shortly after, Stone was brought to the police station for questioning, accompanied by his grandmother, his legal guardian.
Man, you doing all right? You need anything? All right, Jesse, I'm Ryan, and we're gonna come in here and talk to you just a little bit, okay? We're waiting for your mom to get over here, just so we can all be here and talk and figure out what's going on, all right?
Okay.
You sure you don't want water or anything? Okay. If you need something, just give this door a little knock, all right?
Okay.
So, we sent your DNA and the sex kit up to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, who does the testing and stuff for stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay, is there any reason at all that your DNA would be on her clothes?
Yeah, we when I said goodbye to her, we hugged, like a slight hug.
Okay.
That's...
Let me be a little bit more specific. Your DNA was on her underwear.
What?
And so I want you to really use this time here to be honest with me about what happened that night, because I think that we know what happened, and I think that your mom knows what happened, because she also wrote down a list of times that you went in and out of the house that night, to include the time that the call came in. And I think you probably know that you wouldn't be in here unless we had a good reason to put you in.
I don't see... What?
It's not about C rating, John. It's truth.
Yeah, truth. It's impossible for my DNA to be on her underwear.
That's what we like to think too, brother, but that stuff doesn't lie, that stuff doesn't get made up. And sometimes the truth can be hard. You seem like a really good guy, man. You seem like you got a good head on your shoulders. You make connections with people that need help. You go out there and you help other people.
Actually,
And there's people out there sometimes that make mistakes.
Come over here, and I want to make sure.
It doesn't make you a bad person for making a
When
mistake.
detectives presented the DNA evidence, the atmosphere grew tense. Stone initially denied everything. Then the police allowed the boy to speak privately with his grandmother.
She deserves
The
the
boy's
truth to be
emotions
told
began to
when we know it.
escalate, and he seemed to lose control.
Personally, I can't believe that this is a horrible thing, Ricky John. That's a horrible thing.
I don't even have the ability to do that.
Well, it's hard for me to believe too. It's really hard for me to believe too that you would do a thing like this.
I didn't.
But how many times have you been caught in lies?
I know.
And this is the whole reason why you're on restriction. It's because you're not telling the truth about things. If this woman deserves to have the truth, she deserves it, and you know that.
What?
Don't say why's, Ready John, because why doesn't exist here.
I wasn't at her house.
Ready John, it's across the street. Look at her. Look at her. Look at her face. That's
I don't even think like that.
I've never seen you hurt anybody, but
I don't want to hurt
what the
anyone.
hell are you doing outside at that time of night? It doesn't make any sense. Do you understand? Ready, John, it doesn't make any sense. There's a million different things you can do. Being outside where you don't belong, and you know you don't belong out there.
I'm sorry, but I'm an outdoorsy person.
You're not an outdoorsy person. You're a sit in front of the TV kind of guy.
When I don't have TV, I'm outside.
Well, I don't know. I hope and pray you did not do this to this
I
woman.
didn't.
I hope and pray. I hope and pray you did not do this. Because this is horrific. This is a human being. And she deserves justice. She does. If this would have happened to your sister, what would you do?
Murder whoever did.
If you know anything about this, Ready John, for her at least, if you care about her, tell the truth. Tell the truth.
You know,
We've been down that road before where you've been lying about something and you swear up and Randy John, you've lied about stuff before.
After calming down, he continued to be questioned by the investigators.
Well, let's imagine that this is the pillow. Show me what you would do. Like if she was kind of in front of you, show me what you would do.
I was just kind of like holding it there so she couldn't really see me. And I was holding it down a little harder, closer to her mouth so she couldn't really scream or yell.
Okay. And at some point you said you told her to what did you say? To be quiet?
I didn't say anything, I don't remember.
Okay, I thought you said that you told her to be quiet.
Why did you put the pillow over her mouth?
Because I didn't want her to scream. I was just shaking.
Was she screaming?
She was trying to say something.
Okay. What were you watching on the iPad? You said something very specific that you were watching videos. Tell me about that.
Just YouTube videos.
You sure about that? Because what I find hard to believe is that you can tell me what kind of videos you were watching. They were YouTube videos, but you can't tell me what happened after you put the pillow over her mouth. I think you were watching something else on that iPad. I need you to be honest with me, Randy. Sometimes the hardest part of the story is the thing we give the least detail about. And I can understand it, man. You're 14, you have so much more of your life to live. But what we need to understand, man, is we need to understand the truth. And I think you're telling most of the true story here. But I think you're conveniently leaving some parts out. Because it's probably been eating at your heart, man. So I know it's in there. I need you to take this off your heart, man. So I don't buy the whole I don't remember. Because I know you remember. I don't think you're some cold-hearted killer that doesn't remember. Because we deal with those kinds of people too, man. But I don't think Randy John's that guy. So, tell us what happened.
What's the first thing that happened when you got into the room?
When I first got into the room, she was turned on her side.
She turned on her side, is that what you said?
No, she was turned on.
Okay.
She was on her side.
Okay. And then what?
I just kind of stepped forward to make sure she was still asleep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if she heard me move, but we saw in the corner of her eye. But she turned, like just her head, she turned. And that's when I put the pillow on her.
Okay.
Then what happened?
She was trying to move the pillow off in her, so. And she started grabbing my shirt. And that's when I let one of my hands off the pillow to try and get her hand off my shirt. And she was able to move the pillow. So I put both my hands on her face, one on her eyes and one over her mouth.
When you say, help me understand, so did you hit her face or you just covered her?
Just covered it.
Okay.
And then what happened, man?
She started to try and get the rest of her body off the bed. She grabbed hold of one of my arms.
Okay.
And I was pulling away, and I let my other hand off her mouth to try and pull her off from my wrist. She tries to get up, and I think the first time I hit her was when I was trying to get her back down.
And what did you hit her with?
My hand, I thought she was still laying down, but she was sitting up, so my hand was pretty quick. I'm not sure where I hit her at, but.
Did you have a fist, or was it a slap, or?
I think it was more of a slap.
Okay.
Because I was trying to put my hand back where it was on her mouth.
You said that was the first time that you hit her? What about the next time?
It was the first time. I started trying to find something I could use to wrap her arms up. I was trying to get the blankets I could, but she kept moving her arms around. I couldn't quite get them where I could wrap them with the blanket.
And then what happened?
I don't remember if I wrapped her arms with my arm or if I rolled her over. I don't remember what I did.
Where would you have rolled her over to? You said she was on her side and...
I would have pushed her onto her stomach.
Okay.
Was that just to keep her from, flailing off the bed, or what was that for?
Just to put her in a position where she couldn't, just reach up and grab me.
Okay. When did you get on top of her?
She was moving her legs around a lot. And I was just trying to get her to stop moving.
Okay. Is that why you got on top of her?
I believe so.
You believe so or you know so? That's what I'm trying to understand, man.
I don't remember everything.
I know you remember, Randy. We've already gone through that. I know you remember. Is this something you're not going to forget? I know you remember.
Randy, what do we present? Did you rape her? Okay. But were you on top of her? How did it end up on the floor?
Went to pick her up to move her farther onto the bed. And I grabbed about where the waistband was to pick her up. She twisted or something, and my arms slid down her legs. I'm not sure if that's when they came.
Where? You said they snapped when you grabbed them?
What?
You said I didn't hear what you just said.
I wrapped my arm like around her waist, and then she like twisted,
Okay.
and my arm like slid up her legs.
Was it on top of her nightgown, under her nightgown, or something else?
I don't remember if it was on top or under. I
feel like every time we're coming to something that's really difficult to talk about, right, John? You're telling me you don't remember. So what I'm trying to understand, man, is you're out there in her living room watching YouTube, and then you're watching pornographic material. Well, I get it, man. I've been 14 before. I've been an adult. It's a totally normal and natural thing. What I'm trying to understand, man, is it went from progressing from you being in the living room to going into her room, and then her underwear is on the ground. Help me understand that. Because I want to believe you, Randy John, but I don't know if what you're telling me is plausible. I think the reason you went into that bedroom was to have some sort of sexual relations with.
No. I went in there to make sure she was still asleep.
For what reason? Because before you made sure she was still asleep and you just left. What I'm trying to understand is, man, why are you grabbing blankets and tying her arms up? You're a fast guy. You could have been out of there. You could have just left, but you stayed. You put the pillow on. I understand you freaked out.
When she woke up, she grabbed my shirt.
I believe that. I 100% believe that. What I'm trying to understand is how a 14-year-old young man goes from watching pornographic material in the living room and probably was aroused by that, and that's fine, totally natural, to going into this old woman's bedroom and then progressing to tying her up and putting her arms behind her back. I don't think that's how you planned on it going down. I think you did panic. I think that's reasonable. But I want to know that you're telling me the truth.
And Randy, you also need to remember we've already talked with. She remembers everything that happened. Like, obviously we know that they came off of her body, and obviously we know that your DNA is already on there, so we know that somehow you came into contact with them. I just want to know how. Was it some violent maneuver where you just reached in and just ripped them off, or did you just slide them off?
She was on her stomach.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you with your mouth.
When she was on her stomach, she was like trying to get onto her knees to get up. And I was trying to find a way to get her completely lying down. I was trying to lift her up to get her legs from under her. I lifted her by her underwear.
Okay.
And then I was trying to like get her legs from under her, and then I ended up pulling them off of her, so that if I went, then no one would know about it.
She said, I'm sorry, she said if you what?
If you stop now, then no one would know, or something like that.
She said that to you? And what did you say?
I didn't say anything, I just like let go of her.
Okay.
I grabbed her pillow and I like put it on her head so that if she turned it, she wouldn't see me. I left through the door.
The same door you came out? Or the same door that you came in, and that was, you said earlier that was the living room door?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I went to my house. When I went to open our screen door, I noticed that there was blood like on my hand here. So I went over to our hose and I washed it off.
Okay.
And my shoes got wet, so I took them off.
Did you care about her?
Yeah, I don't intend to hurt anyone.
But one thing I'm still a little bit kind of unclear about is, what was the original reason that you went to her? Like, why did you go into her house that night? What were you planning to do?
chill somewhere where I wasn't being watched and I didn't have to quite be outside.
Okay, so were you planning to use her iPad?
Planning, no, just something that came to mind when I was there.
So.
Kind of an opportunity deal.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's when you were watching the pornography and stuff? Okay.
How many times have you gone in a house like this? Kind of in the middle of the night?
That was the first time.
And
every other time that I've been walking outside, for the most part, just like chilling outside, either in the backyard or across the street.
yeah, have you tried her doors before?
No, but
Because it's kind of odd that the first time you got in was the night she left the door open. Because I know when I talked to Detective Hartigan before we came and talked with you, you made a statement to them about how she always locks her doors.
yeah.
So help me understand that right, John. One night she leaves the door unlocked. You make it inside.
I went over there the first time, and then I decided to see if the door was open. But I didn't go to that door first. I went to her sliding doors on the other side of the house.
Right.
The porch door?
No, next to the kitchen counter, next to the table. It's like,
I see what you mean.
yeah, that's the
Okay.
like blinds there.
Yeah.
I tried those doors first, and they were locked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I went to the kitchen window and I tried to see if that would open.
You mind if I give you some more stuff? Sure. So, how old were you when you started watching the porn videos?
My friend showed them to me when I was 10.
10. So you've been watching them since you were 10?
Off and on, yeah.
Okay. How often do you think you were watching them before you got put on restriction?
Once or twice a week.
Okay. And what kind of stuff were you watching? Looking at pictures? Were you watching videos?
A mix of both.
A mix of both? Okay.
Under pressure, Stone began to change his story. He admitted to breaking into the victim's home to chilling somewhere where no one was watching. He said he used the woman's iPad to watch pornography, a habit he had started at the age of 10. The boy confessed to chilling details. He used a pillow to stop the victim from screaming, struck her when she tried to resist, and sexually assaulted her with his hand. He recounted how she grabbed his shirt, how she begged him to stop, but he continued. Stone's story sends shivers down the spine. A 14-year-old, seemingly acting in a state of panic and driven by warped desires, destroyed the life of an elderly woman who once trusted him.
His brain was nowhere near fully developed when this incident happened and is still probably 10 years off from that being the case. He had a relatively difficult childhood. He had no father figure in his life whatsoever. And certainly none of this is an excuse or a justification by any means for what happened. He is remorseful about what happened. You've heard testimony about that. He pled guilty, but he, lost contact with his sister, I believe shortly before this happened. He very minimal contact with his mother, and he was essentially raised by his paternal grandmother. Despite all that, he's done fairly well in school. He got ahead of grade, made pretty good grades, A's and B's, I believe it was. We believe that indicates that he would be amenable to supervision as well as specialized sex offender treatment. As the state points out, he does suffer from depression and ADHD. And obviously there are plenty of people that have depression and ADHD that never get involved in anything like this, but that combined with his childhood certainly doesn't help. As a 14-year-old boy with, again, no father figure in his life, he appears to be somewhat get addicted to pornography and things of that nature on the internet. I'm sure that didn't help this situation. Once Jesse is released from whatever period of incarceration the court deems appropriate, will you be there for him?
Absolutely, if I'm alive still.
Will you help support him kind of getting back on his feet into the community?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like Judge Herndon to know about Jesse?
Just that he isn't the person that did this act in a natural way. He's not this guy.
I think personally he panicked or something. I can't explain what happened, but he's a person that you love, you care, you liked having him around. He was a good person, is a good person. And I mean, I care about I really do. And I don't know what's really fair here. I was myself recently attacked, and for me personally, the way I felt better is to have the person get help, because I think people who are in that situation, they need help. And prior to him, this incident happened, I was already reaching out for help. I called the police a couple different times trying to get help for him. I called the school counselor trying to get help for him. But nobody seems to, that end of things, they failed. And I really believe had he gotten the help that he needed then, he would not be here right now.
All right, Mr. Stone, this is unfortunate for you, for the victim, for both of your families. I'm going to start with count 2. It's a burglary of a dwelling with a battery, which is punishable by up to life in prison. You're adjudicated guilty and sentenced to 25 years in the Department of Corrections. That's going to be followed by 30 years of sex offender probation. You're going to have to follow the sex offender probation conditions set forth in 948.30, which includes sex offender treatment, a variety of other things, including polygraphs, no use of the internet without a risk assessment, no contact with children under the age of 18. I don't know that that's going to be applicable in this case, but I assume all those are still going to apply. You cannot have any contact with the victim in this case, which means that no phone contact, third-party contact, no contact in any manner whatsoever.
Jesse Stone was sentenced on December 19th, 2025, and charged as an adult. He was given a 25-year prison sentence for the assault and rape of a 91-year-old woman. Additionally, Stone will face 30 years of probation as a sex offender, must register as a sex offender, and attend anger management classes. The case of Jesse Stone is not just a story about crime, it's also a warning. A teenager influenced by inappropriate content from a young age, growing up in an environment lacking proper care, developed distorted thoughts and behaviors. Detectives believe Stone didn't initially intend to harm the victim, but a combination of hormones, panic, and lack of self-control led to irreversible consequences. This story also raises questions. How do we protect children from the negative influences of the internet? How do we recognize and support kids who need help before it's too late? Share your thoughts in the comments below.